What's up, guys? Welcome back to Bold Assumptions, article roundup number 4. The first article by Science News for Students is titled, Some Scientists Ask for Ban on Gene Editing of Babies. It follows up by saying that this is in response to the Chinese scientist program that led to several births of what they called edited embryos. The first claim they make is that editing may not be safe enough yet, which I could kind of see reasons for, especially in the fact that it's only been around for a few years, so obviously there's going to be slight holdbacks and different things that can come up. They also further argue that these changes could go on to lead to the man-made tinkering of our evolution, which could eventually mean that these small companies, or very many companies, could potentially change the course of humanity. I kind of agree with this because obviously you don't want the technology falling into the wrong hands. Some mastermind scientist could be plotting to destroy the world one day, and he could just change some genes on a few people, let them free in a country, and then see how history changes. It's really not that hard, I feel like. So obviously we're going to need sets of rules and regulations to decide how we're going to continue on with gene editing. The article later goes on to say that in polls, most Americans are in favor of using gene editing tools to correct diseases, but they don't like the fact that some people can use them for physical advantages such as height, appearance, and basically buying your way into looking good. My counter to this would be that obviously if you have, all right, let's pretend that we, progress with CRISPR and, for example, cure cancer or something. Obviously, overpopulation can be a huge issue after this because if you correct every disease in the world, how are people going to die out? How are we going to, limit population and keep Earth sustainable? You need these, like as bad as it sounds, you do need these illnesses to keep, the population in check. Another fair point to mention is years down the road, you don't know how these genes are going to come back to bite us. For example, you could say, put this gene in somebody that you think's going to, make them less likely to get a heart attack or something, but you don't know the possible damaging effects it could have on the body. That's why you got to let these different companies, test and wait years and years and years to see the long-term effects. A lot of times companies just, analyze the short-term effects and they'll throw something out on the market, and then years later it comes up that this was killing people. That's why I feel like as much as it's cool to, let scientific advancement keep coming out and you have all these new products and stuff, I feel like it's important to also, be patient and make sure it's fully worthwhile. I know there's so many commercials online about law people coming forward and saying like, oh, join our, huge group of lawyers that's going to come and fight this company for these effects that these products are having on us. And this could all be avoided if people just waited and saw how it affected people rather than just throwing it out into the market. Moving on, the proposed ban in the article states that this group of researchers, they basically want an honor system where these countries come together and they decide how long they think would be viable enough to, stop testing and all this stuff. And they're going to basically debate, the pros and cons of all this testing. And they say they want at least 5 years before any testing continues. Obviously, you're going to have countries that could lie, could break the agreements. But I do like the way they're going. I feel like a law would be more effective, though. A good thing to note is the fact that they say they're not going to fully stop, or try to prevent any further research in the gene editing. They basically just don't want people to be able to implant these, modified sperm and egg cells into females. They don't want the babies to be born with these effects. They just want people to practice on the specific cells and see where they go for now. But they don't want babies walking around in the world, 8 feet tall, purple, glittery, anything. They don't want these crazy effects just to be thrown into the public and see how they work. They want, structure. Further on in the article, it seems like the problem of this actually arose years back in 2017, where basically the problem was put forth and many scientists of, all the countries came together and they said it was irresponsible to go on throwing around gene-edited babies the way that we were expected to. This didn't stop, Chinese researchers, however, who went on to, do exactly that and throw gene-edited babies into the world. So what people are saying is this voluntary ban, as it's called, where countries, it's up to their discretion whether they want to follow it or not, it probably won't work because we already tried saying it's irresponsible in the past. So how will that stop somebody who just feels like doing it? Obviously, there needs to be, legal backing to this if they want to stop it at all. Another article from Science News, which is on a similar topic as the one we were just talking about, is titled, Some People May Have Genes That Hamper a Drug's HIV Protection. This article kind of raises the dilemma of, is it worth splicing genes to the aspect of if it would save someone's life from HIV. Basically, the dilemma at this point is it more worth trying to change the way the HIV drug works, or is it more worth changing the way people's DNA works to help them? And the problem with this is, okay, you don't know if someone's going to get HIV, obviously, in their lifetime, unless they're, born with it because they're parents. So would you have to change every single person who's born's genes moving forward in order to prevent them from HIV? Or would you have to, figure out who's more likely to get HIV and, change it at that aspect? There's a lot of different questions this raises. Another thing that's fair to mention is the fact that, okay, gene editing could be bad and all, but could it potentially be just speeding up evolution? Because if you think about it, the way natural selection works, people with better genes are more likely to survive. So rather than waiting thousands of years for someone with the better genes to live out or beat out the person with the worst genes, we're essentially just clipping out the bad gene and replacing it with the good one, saving, thousands, tens of thousands, millions of years of evolution. Now, the problem is, throughout history, humans have always tried to speed things up, and it usually seems to go pretty bad when we try to speed things up. So I don't really know where it's going to go from here. It's obviously up to the scientists who are moving forward with the CRISPR things. Anyways, it's just some of my opinions on what's happening today in the news of science. It's been Bold Assumptions.